Hi students, this is the tutorials on how to write an essay that should work for anybody up to and including year 11. If you're a level 2 student, then you need to go and find the more advanced tutorials that I've done. Okay, the first step in how to write an essay is obviously to work out which text you're actually doing it for. Because everyone hasn't done the same text, what I've decided to do is refer to a New Zealand short film that is really good. It's only 15 minutes long and you can watch it online for free. It's called The $6.50 Man. That's the URL to use to access it. Anybody can watch it online for free, and once you've watched it, these will make a lot more sense. So I strongly recommend that you pause right now if you haven't watched the film, go and watch that at newzealandonscreen.com and then come back and complete watching these tutorials. Okay, the first step in how to write an essay, well, other than choosing what text you're doing, like I just said, the second step then in how to write an essay is how to choose a question. Okay, it's really important that you choose the right question. That's probably the biggest mistake that any students make from year 9 right through to year 13 is choosing the wrong question that they actually don't end up answering. Or if they do answer it, they don't really know what they're talking about, so they choose it because they think it looks easy, but it actually turns out that it's not. Okay, so here we've got an example of what 4 questions might look like, and this is for year 9, 10 and 11. They could look like this in your year 11 NCEA exam, they could look like this at year 9. Okay, so first step, I keep saying that first step, we're up to our third step now. You need to actually read the questions. I think that's something that a lot of students don't do. They just look at that stuff in bold and then make a snap decision. That's silly. You need to actually read the questions. Okay, so number 1, describe one surprising event in a visual text you have studied. Explain how the director used visual and or verbal features to make this event surprising. Think about $6.50 Man. If you haven't watched it yet, go and watch it now, because otherwise you're going to get spoilers. And think if there's a surprising event that happens in that short film. There is. Okay, number 2, describe an event that was a turning point in a visual text you've studied. Explain how the director used visual and or verbal features to show you that the turning point was important. Was there a turning point? Well, a turning point is anything major that happens that significantly changes the storyline, usually for the better. So you're thinking about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through the story, what's something that happens that turns things around for the character? And there's definitely an important turning point in $6.50 Man. Number 3, describe a memorable character in a visual text you've studied, etc, etc, etc. It's all the same for the second part. Is there a memorable character? I would say that Andy is quite memorable, he's quite quirky. You could also even say that the principal is memorable because he's quite mysterious. Number 4, describe at least one idea that was worth learning about in a visual text you've studied, etc, etc. Okay, so what you have to do now is you have to think, what has my teacher actually taught me? Have we talked about surprising events in this film? Have we talked about turning points? Have we talked about memorable characters or character at all? Have we talked about ideas or themes? If you haven't talked about one or more of these things, then just cross that question out. For example, there is a surprising event, but your teacher may not have discussed it with you. So you just cross it out. You're not going to do that because you're not going to write about what you don't know. But you might immediately, for example, look at question number 3 and say, yes, we've talked a lot about Andy's character in class, and I feel really familiar with talking about how he was memorable. Remember, this word might be different in the actual exam. It might be a irritating character, a relatable character, a sympathetic character. So this word is really, really important, but more on that in the next tutorial. So can you talk about confidently a memorable character? So that's the question that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. But really it comes down to, can you choose a question that you can actually write about? You need to think ahead, think to when you make your plan, are you actually going to be able to create a plan and then an essay for the question that you choose? If you don't have enough material or you don't really understand what the question is talking about, then there's no point in choosing it. Okay, so that's that for this tutorial. what you need to now do is choose a question for yourself, for you to work on for your practice essay, and then you are going to have a look at the next tutorial that helps you work out what the question is actually asking of you.